this time.
Not yet. Hi everyone, I hope you hear and see us well. We are here in Les Sables, waiting for the start of the Mini Transat 2023. So next to me is the main star, Uroš who is doing it for his first time, and next to him is Andraž, CEO of Seascape and 2 times Mini Transat finisher. And left of me is Jure our dear friend and really good meteorologist that is the brain behind the Brom. So yeah. As you probably heard, the start has been postponed. It was scheduled for yesterday. Sorry, for tomorrow at 2, and this has been changed now. How do you feel about that, Uroš?
Yeah, I think it's like everything is France. It's just a little bit late.
So everybody is late.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to start as soon as possible because I kind of did a lot of preparations for the last 2 years and I got enough of this. But to avoid the storm, maybe it's not that a bad idea.
Yeah. So yeah. You mentioned the storm. So Jure, can you tell us a little bit more about why was this decision made? What was the committee thinking?
Yeah, so there is a really large low over the North Atlantic, and there are embedded fronts into the south or westerly flow. And actually, there are 2 fronts like starting from tomorrow. Like every night, there is 1 front coming, but the most intensive is the front on Wednesday, and so around that time. First boat would be approaching Finisterre, and they would be hit with 40 knots plus gusts. And I believe, with 3.5 to 4 meters waves, it's quite a wise decision to postpone the race because, like, there are minis and small boats in the 4-meter height waves. They would have a lot of problems.
You agree with that? You feel confident that this decision was made in your good health?
Yeah, no, 40 knots, that's not the guts.
Yeah, sarcasm off.
Yeah, it's a good idea to avoid the storm. And we definitely don't want to repeat the thing that happened 2 years ago on the Mini Transat. So, yeah, let's wait a little, no problem. Let's just wait enough.
In your time when you were sailing the Mini Transat, something similar happened as far as I remember. So how did it look like then?
The way he's saying it is the same way I'm feeling, going on the pontoons, quite old, like in your time. I'm going to stop visiting these starts. So yes, but in 2007 was pretty much the same thing. It was here, the weather was gorgeous and sunny and nothing, and then there was, I forgot what exact situation was at the Finisterre, so they postponed the start. I think at that time it was for like 2-3 days, and this depends a little bit on the character, but it is one of the worst things that can happen, I think, to a sailor, because you are unconsciously building up the preparation to one point, and then all of a sudden that point is pushed by a day or 2. It's hard to keep the same tension that you need to actually go into that. So I think that's everything is different. I don't know for Uroš, he appears to be pretty, like tough, and nothing really gets to him. But I know with us, me and Christian, we did struggle a little bit by having a game plan and battle plan. We did with Jure in our heads, and you were like all hyped up to go. And then all of a sudden it's like a reset. Like, well, you know what? That was just a dry run. Like, now let's start from the beginning. So it's hard. It's pretty hard.
So can you confirm that, or you're just anxious to get going? And
no, we're just not used to that, to have extra time. We do everything at the last second, and
that's new for me as well.
What do we do now? Maybe we should, I don't know, get some stuff undone and then do it at the last second. It'd be more natural.
Let's grease the winches again.
Lock tight the stopper. Just have the washers.
Yeah, and I mean, now I have no excuse, you know, because now I could still say there was no time. We had to, you know, it was last second. We had no time to do that and that. And now that excuse is not valuable anymore. So I have to go work on the boat tomorrow.
Something. Is anything known about the new start time? And
yeah, we just did official briefing, weather briefing, where we should get information for tomorrow's start, but they confirmed that the start is postponed. We don't know how long yet, nothing official, because there are 3 fronts that are changing a lot and it's hard to say. But at the moment, the idea is start on Monday with few waypoints in the Biscay Bay to keep us south and close to the shore. The weird change was a little bit because before our route went out of the traffic separation zones because of the orcas.
so further from the coast.
From the coast, yeah, and now this is not an issue anymore, and it looks like we're gonna go next to the coast. So.
You did say orcas, did you?
Yeah.
We'll come back to orcas a little bit later.
What?
Exactly.
Killer whale.
Well, yeah, whatever. Why use this in the conversation? Okay.
Like I said, back in your time, things were different.
We didn't care about orcas.
We have these
We ate
animals
orcas.
now, you know, these weird dolphins that grow too much and they come these different colors.
They got some weird ideas on Instagram.
And their fetish is, I don't know, eating brothers or something. Who gave them that idea?
But coming back to the decision for the committee, what would you do compare in your opinion, in what you see in your predictions, in your calculations for the weather?
Well, actually, we had a conversation with Christian Demar, who is chief meteorologist here. And, you know, like with Andraž, we already went through this year on Fastnet because he was the chief meteorologist there as well. And he let the fleet go. And he had to, no, but France is something completely different. You know, if something goes wrong in France, you know, the race organizer is responsible for things going wrong. However, you know, like as I said, you know, 40 plus knots, you know, it's tough, it's rough. We have been through that.
No, you get a big attrition rate with that many minutes because you have different levels of preparation. And you know, for a 4,000-mile race, that people actually, you know, have to abandon after a few hundred miles.
And then especially like if something goes wrong, you know, the rescue could be really tricky because with the southerlies actually are pushed toward the north. So I believe that some rescue actions would be really, really tricky. So and then, like even with like if you just have the problem with the mast or whatsoever, you know, you're just going away from the shore. I believe that the postponement was actually a good thing.
Into the camera with feelings.
Okay. Yeah. So the postponement was a good thing to do, and I thought even the Monday would be too early. However, like they set up two marks to go there. So basically, and then that would keep the fleet on the south in the south part of Biscay, and that would mean that they would be hit with this Wednesday front just with its tail. So there are still 30 knots forecast for Wednesday. However, that's much less than like 40 plus, which was originally planned. So I believe that you might really start on Monday, and because this plan would work out.
But if you would be the decision maker, when would you do it?
Like if you would leave the fleet as a free wheelie, so without
Back to work.
without any waypoints, then Monday would be too early. But if you set up the waypoints, then Monday is okay.
I think it's fitting here. Marusha, sister of Uroš, posed the question: what happens after this front passes? What is just plain sailing afterwards?
Yeah,
No, well, the tricky part is to get around Finisterre, because like until Finisterre you are in the strong westerlies with all these fronts, but after Finisterre there is you just get into the trade winds, like the northerlies, and from then on everything is okay. Like there are no tricky weather systems getting in. Yeah, it's like around Finisterre, depending on the model, they're showing the shift to the like northerlies around Finisterre, or perhaps GFS like some 200 miles later. But like I believe on Friday they should be already out of the woods.
So maybe worth telling is that we're talking about wind, but the Bay of Biscay, the problem of the Bay of Biscay is the continental shelf. So that's where the basically the ocean rises up by 1,000 meters, and the wave state that I experienced here, sailing a few times through these waters, is pretty impressive. So when you say 40 knots, it's not the same 40 knots we get from Bora in Quarner or in Adriatic. It's really impressive. You know, I've been in it in 35 knots downwind, and that was probably one of the most memorable sailing I had. So yeah, so it's a special piece of water, Bay of Biscay.
Yeah, sometimes it's fine because you have quite a lot of tidal movement of the water, and sometimes it happens that in the middle of the sea you have these really weird waves that are breaking over something. It looked like there's something in the water or
Over
something.
itself.
Yeah. But it's just this current coming out and they're crashing.
So water crashing in itself.
Yeah, it's fun to see.
And then maybe just to also say, you know, what Jure is saying. So when you get to this Alizé du Nord, so the northern trade, sort of, they call it next to the Portuguese coast. Yes, it's not the frontal system anymore and all that, but this is still a pretty stiff downwind, you know, shit. So it's not like, okay, it's just, you know, like you're summer cruising to Portugal or something. It's people broke rigs there, and you know, it's a place where I did a 24-hour record in 2007. So it's huge waves, you know, and strong downwind sailing.
So I think we have to come back to orcas now. So what's that all about? It's so much noise and chat around that. Even they found their way to our heads. So
yeah, the problem is that it's kind of fresh thing that started happening in the last year, 2 years, and the point is that there's no theory what to do actually when you meet them. I mean, there are many theories, but nobody can really confirm them. So in the mini, I mean, for me, the problem is we do know that if you go fast, they mostly don't attack boats that go fast. But what is the speed that works? So when do you take the sails off, leave the rudders, and try to be as least interesting as possible? And what is the speed when you just try to go and be as least interesting as possible? So I don't know. We actually don't get any suggestions what to do.
So just be aware of orcas, right?
Exactly.
It's such a useless piece of information.
They always say that, and I'm always like, yeah, we definitely will be aware of them. And when they are there, you're definitely aware of them there. But what to do is really like a few theories. But
what do you do if you meet an angry, hungry lion in the savannah when you die? That's how it is. It's like you don't think about it.
You walk with a slower friend or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
So you keep close to some mini that has, I don't know, different color of the rudders that would be more interesting for orcas or something.
Sorry, that's new for me. So
yeah.
I heard some stuff, but I didn't know that's something that comes on the hats. Is it like a?
Yeah.
Is it a
There are internet cessation now.
Something flipped and they started munching on the rudders and keels of
is
boats.
it like tens of boats or like?
There are actually Facebook groups where they report them. One boat lost a rudder this morning. This morning.
Where?
At Nazar in Portugal. So a little bit north from Lisbon.
Actually, you can get the app with the latest so with all the statistics, with the you know, these Google clouds, I mean,
Yeah.
showing,
AI
showing the point where the last attacks happened. So and then you have 3 colors: green one, yellow one, and the red one. So the green one, the orcas were just observed. The red one,
We saw them.
like they ate
Something.
they ate the rudders. But I'm not sure what's with this yellow one.
But I tell you what,
They just ate a little bit of the rudder.
You know what's not my theory behind it? Now listening to it, and it's 90% sure this is it. These are, you know,
Confident as always.
military trained orcas that escaped some sort of secret program. And I know about that because in Dwaknene there was a dolphin which was actually munching on the ropes. It's still there, I think. Munching on the ropes when you're coming in the port with the sails, like in a mini, without an engine. He would like catch a sheet and just pull you in a pontoon or something. It's true story.
I don't like this dolphin because he has more Facebook friends than I do.
Yeah, it's super famous. I forgot the name. But anyway, so that apparently was from Brest, you know, where the French military had a secret marine mammal program. So there is no other explanations. I think that must be it. There is an orca which was trained to attack stuff. You know?
But like, you know, so far the attacks happened more or less on along the Portuguese coast. A lot
of them are on Gibraltar.
But then now the new stuff is that the attacks are going on also north on along the Scotland.
It must be a NATO program.
And yeah, they're saying that the pods, the different they're called pods, the bunch of orcas, that they actually talk to each other, and then that's why this is happening elsewhere as well.
They had the
So,
covers.
They had
yeah. So when is the thank you for all the fish moment coming? Maybe we caught all the fish and now they're just it's the revenge time.
No, but like it can be probably really, really tricky, like if you stay without rudders, so like especially both of them.
Well, you have 2.
Yeah.
And I can leave them.
And you can leave them up. You see orcas, you're like, no, not today.
But how mad would that make them?
That's why I need a boat next to you. But that's weird. We didn't have that in our time. I must tell you, it was simpler times.
I guess
It was just the waves and the winds and the competition.
I give you like 1 year and you will have to put orcas in your routing, you know.
No,
They are
no, they are already here.
They're in.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, like I just put the little exclusion zone, you know, where they're so like we can really adapt to every situation. So that's the great part of our stuff.
It's incredible. I mean, from my times, you know, how the things evolved. You know.
happens, I guess. What will happen in 20 years?
Who knows? Killer hornets.
In the middle of the Atlantic.
Camp on the water.
So Jaka is asking about the ETA, if of the finish
Monday
on
start,
if it's on Monday, the start on Monday. So when
if the start is on Monday, thank you for like they will probably need something like 9 to 10 days.
So it's a bit slow, or
yeah, especially the first part is slow. Like comparing with the start tomorrow, they would actually need like if they would start tomorrow, of course, and then they wouldn't have any problems with gusts. They would arrive 1 day earlier. So especially the first part is going to be rather slow. So like the first 150 miles, it's not that much wind.
And you have to go inside the bay.
Yeah, and you have to get inside when there is not that much of wind.
So it's good for you, I guess.
yeah. What are your ideals?
You know?
Yeah.
What are your ideal
So
conditions?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but downwind is good for me, especially VMG downwind. And low winds are good for me, a little bit less since we cut the power. We lost a little bit there, but a little bit faster in strong wind. So altogether, not fast.
You want to say something?
No. Like you can really pull away. with this in this light wind. So that's, I believe this is an option for you.
Yeah, but then I'm first on the menu for the orcas. Like
No, you're gonna be just activating them. Surprise them. You're gonna eat the guys behind.
Yeah, and the other question from Jaka is route after Finisterre. I see your routing shows one closer to the Portuguese coast and one.
Yeah, that this one is actually quite tricky to set. You know, there will be northerlies. There is going to be that downwind, and actually everything what you need to do is you need to predict. You know what's going to be the final stretch before Canaries, like because you don't want to go that downwind. So if there is some wind shift, you want to anticipate it. But you know the differences are so small. But and the distances are so big that like even 5-10 degrees wind shift is really bringing a lot. So the tricky part is actually like to foresee what's going on, what will go on in the last stretch between Portugal and the Canaries. But you know, so far, you know, all the isochrons, I mean the lines indicating the time of arrival are very flat, so it won't make too much difference. But probably, yeah, since the high is going to be very likely west. It's you don't want to go too far to the west because there will be less pressure there.
It's actually, as far as I remember, it's if this is the situation as you said, so it's like the wind is curving along the stream of the wind, and then going to the Canaries. And it's you would like to go right to get the shift, but then you go out of the pressure. So typically, and you have a lot of shifts in that traits from the clouds and from this. So it's really more what you used to. It's basically the sailing on shifts. So having a run line that Jure will give you, and then just basically playing on shifts. And if you are fit, you know, then you can really sail it like an inshore race. You know, every hour or two you could catch some shifts.
Nothing better than maneuvers.
So like, I think
yeah, you were a dinghy sailor, so but
and
this is a little bit different still.
yeah, it's like a laser, just
you asked for that for a VMG downwind. Here it is.
Yeah, but not jibes. Come on, we'll do a video of a jibe tomorrow. Yeah, you will see what's my point.
Yeah. Can you describe the procedure of a jibe? I know it's not super fast.
No, it's too long. I don't have
we don't have the time. How many? I know you have a checklist of things you have to do before you touch the sheets. So any sail.
That's for tacking. Yeah, there's 6
tacking.
things I have to do before I start with the sails. So to be fast, so ballast, keel, rudders, mast, backstay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I tag 7.
You see?
7 things. Sorry.
So yeah, different boats. The sails and maneuvers are energy drainers.
But I mean, at that late point of the race, I think it would be good to have something to do to keep my mind.
it's really, I was surprised, you know, how shifty the wind is, because when people tell you about the trade winds, they talk about champagne sailing, and the waves are quite short, so it's quite shitty, and it's very, very shifty. So I ended up basically plotting the true angle of the Pelican display, you know, to get some sort of idea of the frequency of the shifts. And yes, I was not at that time in the right mindset, but now if I do it the third time,
Yeah.
probably it would be try to figure out that frequency of shifts when you're on energy mode, not just going like for half a day this way and half a day that way, and really try to, like if you're on inshore, just extend it and try to catch it.
We can do that. Can you just close the door, because I think this background music doesn't really help.
So like if we count the jibes in the routing, you get like 21
jibes in 10 days. I can do that.
Oh no, come on, it's 2 per day. That's not even a challenge.
Yeah, it depends what time, you know. Is it after lunch siesta?
No, you're right.
Then you have to wait.
So over the winter, we did a bow modification on your Mini, which is now quite old, coming from Andraž's time, 2007,
We
2008.
didn't have bows like that in my time.
So yeah, there was some updates on that. Sam drew a new line and we cut it. We made it more spade-like or spatula-like. I don't even know what the exact
Spatula.
yeah spatula. So how do you feel that influenced the boat? Do you feel the difference? Actual gains?
I do. I mean, strong wind, downwind is much more maneuverable. It's easier to veer away from the wave. When you hit the wave, it's easier to veer away, definitely. In high reaches, there's also more volume. You can feel it. I mean, it flies easier. It flies faster. I mean, it breezes faster. Not breezes.
Yeah, gets out of
Planes
the
faster.
planes.
It's easier. But I lost a little bit of speed upwind, low wind especially, because yeah, it's shorter water line, so that shows. But I kind of tried speed things a little bit, and if I put all the weight in the bow, so I put the bow down, this line on the side still works kind of the water line, and it's not that bad.
So comparing to the prediction, this is kind of a good decision, and it will help.
It's like, you know, putting big wheels and stripes on your car. It's like immensely fast.
Especially the stripes.
plus 10 horsepower. I mentioned the energy drain, and a lot of people are asking about what do you eat. You can't really cook, but I want to.
I think we
Show
have it somewhere.
I want to show people what you have prepared.
I mean, my main meals are dehydrated meals that we got from Termet. Luckily, I mean, it was a really good deal that we made, and we got this. So
Yeah.
Lactose free.
So we have beef stew, and there's like
Stroganoff.
there's many different tastes. I like that. I didn't go through them because
chili con carne.
I don't want to know.
That's
Come on,
an
I
old
want
time.
them to surprise me.
That
You know,
was
I
in
would-
my time, you know. We had chili con carne.
In a can or
No. It was
Yeah,
like
it was
this.
like that already.
Yeah. We even had, you know, there was this girl from Singapore who had Singapore Special Forces. You know, this
MREs.
MRIs, yeah. So you could eat them even just without cooking them because you don't want to eat that.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And there was some exotic taste. So yeah. This is actually more delicious than people think.
Yeah.
I honestly really didn't check the taste because I want to have a little bit surprise, you know, and pull something out. And I'm not
Daily
too
draw.
picky. I'm not too picky, so it will be interesting. And it's quite easy. I mean, I have this small jet boil. You boil like a little amount of water, pour it in, wait for 7 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that.
And mix well.
Mix well.
Don't forget.
And
It's crunchier.
and the right direction.
And wait enough.
As already said, on the northern hemisphere, you have to steer it this way and the south.
And if you're really hungry and you eat it a little bit too early, it's good that you're alone on the boat because you fart. a lot.
Yeah.
But this is a real.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, but
It's a
this is
surprise.
a regular meal, just dehydrated in a special way, so you can.
So they claim.
Yeah, so they claim. This actually should be, and they have some certification that this is.
No, it's actually-
it's just a regular food.
It is actually quite good. I was positively surprised about that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I ate them now for quite some time, and I still like them, so
Yeah.
I have to be okay. But it's not all. I mean, I still have some pate and some tuna cans and stuff like that. Because you cannot eat all the same thing all the time. And some fruit as well for first 2-3 days.
There were some promises that you were going to get some homemade salami. Did
Yeah,
you
I don't
make
know.
it?
It didn't come here. I know, so I had to buy.
And now there's time to send it over if you ship it really fast.
DHL Express.
So bunka, savinski želodec, everything. I take
Cool.
everything. Just
If it's
send it.
late, I'll take it anyway. So and then there's water.
Yeah, I mean, we take a lot of water on board. Actually, it's limited how much we can take because when we empty the canisters, we fill them up because we use them as ballast as well.
So the maximum is limited, not the minimum.
Yes, and also we have some canister with us for the first leg that has to be sealed. We cannot use them, we cannot fill them, so we cannot use them as
Emergency water.
No. We have
yeah,
the
the
empty
empty ones,
canister
yeah,
for
sorry.
the second leg, which is longer. So for the second leg, there's 140 liters of water allowed, and for the first, just 60. So I have these 7-8 canisters sealed with me, and I cannot fill them because in strong winds we actually do that. Even if the canisters are empty already, you fill them with salt water, put them in the right place, and use them as ballast.
It's a big deal. So it's also limited. How the minimum is limited and the maximum is limited. And on the second leg, everybody has to have full canisters. But then what you do is you drop whatever you feel comfortable of overboard.
I think that changed from your ancient times, but now you can take as much as you want. It's just 140 is the limit.
Okay.
Stuff, so, but yeah.
And how much you're taking?
I know.
How much you're taking for the?
I'm taking all the canisters, but I don't know. I normally plan 4 liters of water per day, but the second leg is quite hot one and a lot of sun and warm water, so I will take some spare one. I mean, it's not a nice time if you run out of water for the last 2-3 days.
We experienced that.
We tried that. We did it in Palermo, Monte Carlo, and
we ran out like 1 hour before the finish line,
and even that was juice.
Yeah,
the last thing we had was juice,
so it's extra sweet. It's just the mental thing that you're running out and the wind is dying, and what if we have to stay for another night or another day out there? And it's like interesting feeling. I was surprised.
It's on the pyramid of needs. This is the base level.
Suddenly you're even more thirsty when you know that you're running out and you want more.
It's hard to say because I usually don't drink much. I really don't drink more than 2 liters a day. But then you have these hot days, a lot of.
This is definitely not beer.
It says so.
Yeah,
not beer.
Not beer. Okay.
So yeah, I mean it really depends. Sometimes you're just thirsty all the time and you drink and you never really get full. So. It's good to have some reserve, and if we have strong winds, I use them as ballast anyway, so I will take quite a lot.
How about sleeping? When you sleep, the boat is on the autopilot, and majority of the time anyway is boat on the autopilot. But do you trust him like you trust a coast keeper, a really good coast keeper?
I normally do. I had some problems with it this year because a little up that we made, so it didn't work, and I had a few moments when it just went all the way to one side and didn't let go. So it's hard feeling, especially in a mini when everything is set for one tack, and then when you tack, you're completely untrimmed and everything is the wrong position. It's hard to save. So after that, I still have this hunch in the back that might happen, and it's a bad feeling, but it's a long way. You have to trust it. You just you put it on and it works, and that's it.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other way. There's no other way. As we like to say, just really focus on things you can control, and that's it. And a pilot is a binary thing. It's like a must.
Yeah.
It's.
But do you reduce the speed when the boat is on autopilot, or you just go full throttle?
Well, normally what you do is retrim the sails. I don't know if you do the same, but you have a different trim for an autopilot, which is a bit more forgiving. Of course, you have less bang and you twist the sails a bit more. In my days, we're doing that. but
for starters, we don't have one anymore.
Yeah, well, to be honest, we didn't have it either. But,
you forgot it was a long time ago.
So in any case, you retrim the sails a little bit differently. Typically, you wouldn't change the sails down for a pilot. Let's say to change down a kite, except
if you need sleep really
and if the wind is really forecasted, or if you think to be really volatile, then you'd probably go from a masthead to a.
But what would be the maximum speed you would still go on autopilot with the masthead?
With the masthead.
It depends. It so much depends on the angle and the waves and everything. It's so hard to say, really. I mean, it depends how tired you are.
And again, when I said the Biscay, and also when I was coming back from Azores race, actually just to this place, to the sub balloon, and we had a cold front, as you remember, coming through the Biscay, and was really pushing hard because we were going for the podium result, and you don't want to change the small kite at that time to a jib, because on the mini, once you go from any kind of spinnaker to a jib, you drop the speed by half. So I pushed with the 2 reefs and this cold sail in the middle of the night in that cold front, and the pilot was steering. I was in the cockpit. I couldn't steer, because of the rain and all that shit. And the pilot was doing, on that surf 16, 17, 18 knots, and it was a most bizarre situation where you had a human being in the cockpit, capable, trained, and all that, and you couldn't manage the boat that the pilot could manage.
Yeah, it's hard, but at some point you have to admit, I mean, even like that, you have to try sometimes, because after a few hours on the steering, even if in normal conditions, autopilot gets faster.
Yeah,
I mean, you lose concentration, you start doing.
Or like in fog, light wind fog, pilot always fast. So it's a tool, and you have to trust it. It's like a human being. It has its quirks.
Yep.
I ended up, after doing that for 4 years, that I had problems trusting coast keepers.
I'm still looking for a name for my autopilot. I was thinking about that at the last race. I need a name for it.
Oh yeah.
So because I talk to it so much, at some point I will have to call it something.
We can do if
I'm taking suggestions.
Yeah.
What would be my autopilot?
If he picks a suggestion from you, I think we have some T-shirts left. So a little bit of an
you're
incentive.
getting better in this. Nice.
Yeah, about sleep management. Martin wants to know how you tackle that problem. How long do you sleep for? How does that look like on a small boat like that?
Yeah, the main thing you have to know is what is the least sleep that you get all the phases of sleep. So 4 of them. I don't know them in English, sorry, but the most important is deep sleep. I mean, it's hard to get into it, and REM sleep.
Yeah.
So those are 2 that you have to have. If they're missing, then it comes to hallucinations and tiredness and everything. We did a little bit of testing of that, and we find out that in 30 minutes I can definitely get it, and mostly in 20 minutes as well. So I'll mostly do shifts like that. Of course, when you're in the middle of the ocean, you do longer, because you can. Near the coast, or near other sailors, or near shipping lanes or stuff like that, I always do 20-30 minutes intervals. But you can do a few in a row. You just wake up, check the AIS, check the trim, check around surrounding, and go back to sleep, which is quite tricky to force yourself to do, especially if it's really wet outside and you're inside cozy. But yeah, I do that all the time.
Cool. So it's tough to imagine that just doing that in civil life on shore is.
When you have kids,
Yeah.
it's pretty much the same thing without being wet.
Okay. Yeah.
And even you can get wet sometimes, no?
You do in a very special way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you think it's very specific, but in fact, it's one of the things which it's I got kids quite soon after I stopped racing, and it helped me a lot. The training
You
I
were
had,
trained,
and yeah. I actually thought that this is something you should get in your health insurance. This kind of sleep management training.
Yes, and I think everybody has its power nap now. I mean, the time that you can sleep to when you don't have time, just a short sleep to be rested again. We all know that if it's too long, then you fell asleep too much and you cannot wake up. And if it's too short, it's not enough. And we all have that, I think. And that, I mean, long driving or stuff like that. Who does that knows that. So for me, it's at least 20 minutes window.
Yeah,
which is amazing for this occasion. So.
Yeah, Marusha asked about the autopilot also. Is there any conditions you wouldn't use the autopilot? Is there a situation when you have?
I mean, in really strong winds, you are mostly steering, because then you can really push the boat, and then at some point when you cannot do it anymore, you have to trim down a little bit. I mean, do a reef, maybe even change the kite, and then put on like autopilot. But in strong conditions, you definitely try to do as much steering as possible. In lower winds, as I said, after a while, autopilot gets even better than you because of the concentration. and not to use it. Yeah, you wouldn't use it if it dies on you, like it did on SAS when I didn't have the wind instruments and it was only compass mode, so it didn't really work. So I spent last 2 days just on the steer on the rudder all the time and fell asleep on it quite a few times and stuff like that. But you really don't want to do it, no. Yeah. Mostly you just want to have like this tempo with the autopilot, so you are rested, you spend some time on the rudder, just the time when you can be concentrated, and that's the best way to do it.
And the tricky part on the Transat is the second leg, and it's also all the part from the Finisterre down to the Canaries. Because when you're in the VMG downwind, you're always losing when you're on the autopilot. You know, so when you're reaching, when you're light wind, with all that, you know, the pilot, as Uroš says, is pretty capable, sometimes even more. But when you're VMG downwind in more than 15-20 knots of wind, you will always be losing, trimming down, as he said, when you go on a pilot. So it's really hard to figure out exactly how much you have to sleep. You know what you know, to foresee in how the conditions. So the conditions are not changing that much. You're in the trades pretty much. So I think that's where working with Jure helps a lot. It helped me a lot. You know, to identify, you know, periods of the race where it's going to be possible to go to sleep without losing time. Yeah, because that makes a huge difference.
There's one more question that really comes back a lot of times. It's there's no toilet on these small boats. Yeah, there's all around. It's a bucket.
I never used the bucket.
Never used the bucket.
Wow. I do Peter Pret position.
Oh, you do Transklammer. Peter Pret. Wow.
It's good to do it on
days,
leeward, you know, not windward.
Oh yeah,
It's a good idea doing leeward, and I never use the bucket, but in the hard conditions you have to.
There are 30 women sailors in this year's edition of Mini Transat. They have a even bigger issue.
They just use bucket twice. No,
yeah,
more than
just
twice
more
as
than
much. That's it.
Yeah. But to be honest, you know, when there is it's upwind or whatever, even for, you know, the number one, I also used either the thing, you know, to throw the water out or the bucket
boiler,
later, because it's absolutely idiotic to try to do it overboard.
Yeah.
So,
or if it's really harsh, you just turn backwards a little bit. I mean.
So if we're really talking hard stuff, you know, and I had this question, I never talked to my fellow racers at the time. It was not those years, you know.
Yeah.
But it was not so much, you know, the number one and number two, because that's bucket or Transklammer. But it's the menstruation and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I'm maybe now crossing some line, but it is a thing which we don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
We are completely ignorant on how that affects you in many ways, and they have to deal with that as well.
I don't think we'll make much discussion about it, but I know about some of them taking contraceptive pills.
So
They don't have the.
They postpone it. Yeah, for the first leg that works, but for the second, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am an idiot on that. I'm just putting on the table. That
Huge respect, anyway. So
it's like.
Don't want to be too smart about it, yeah. But
No.
yes.
No.
So yeah. Any more questions from you guys and gals watching us now? Yeah, it's girls doesn't work that well.
Yeah, and all the others.
Yeah.
You're
No, stop there. I think it's time to stop. If you don't have a really good question in the next few seconds, I think it's the point where we have to stop. We'll be updating you as soon as we know when the real start will happen now. No, I won't be doing the live video coverage from the start. It's going to be an official one. It's going to be in French, but at least the picture will be there.
Can you pirate the stream and then just overlay it with commentary?
Yeah, that
you're not.
We'll talk about that. Andraž, there's one more question. Would you do it again? Okay. He's asking you if you would do the Transat again.
The Mini Transat.
Yes.
No.
No, you know, but the oldest guy on the start, I believe he's 60.
Oh yeah. No, it's more that. Well, I don't know. Not today. But why not? I mean, it's definitely one of the most like life-changing events you can do, and you cannot repeat all those fast nets and all those races. This is something else.
So this is the last days that we know Uroš as
yeah, just no, it changes your brain for sure, and
not Uroš.
Yeah, but it cannot go for worse. So I think we're good.
On that bombshell. Yeah, thank you for watching. Keep tracking the race and following us and cheer for Uroš in the next days when the start will happen, and
probably Monday afternoon.
Yeah. So see you on the ashikasailing.org for the future updates, and yeah, thank you for supporting us. Take care.